slower. No, I don't take shit. I got no. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, follow show up. Go slow. No, I don't take shit. I got no. If you wanna play and wanna hate this. Everybody, welcome to the show. We'll be starting momentarily. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, follow show up. Everything I do, so I think. Hey, everybody, it's Randy Justice. We'll welcome you to the show tonight. I am so excited to have you here. I'm so excited to have with me my special guest, my longtime friend. We figured out, as a matter of fact, earlier that it's been exactly 20 years since we first met. Charlie Beaird, he's the operations manager here at Knox Horizon Complete Auto Care. And we're going to be talking about automotive repair and the state of the industry tonight. And Charlie, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
No, man, I'm glad you're here. Um, why don't you see, automotive repair is not your first career.
No, sir, it's not.
Why don't you share with the people what you used to do and a little bit about your background?
I was actually former law enforcement for 25 years. Did some time here with the sheriff's office here
Might want to
locally,
move your mic just a little
and I did some
closer.
time with sorry about
Oh,
that.
you're
Just a
good, man.
second. Did some time with county sheriff's
There
office,
we go.
and have done some time down in Florida, where I'm originally was born and raised at.
I is mic muted. Sorry, my fault.
Yeah, see, he invites me on a show and then mutes my mic. That's great.
And that you heard in the background was Isabella, his awesome dog. So
Yes, spoiled rotten.
yeah, but anyway, you were saying, sheriff's office.
Yes, I
You
apologize. The sheriff's office did a little time up here, did some time down in Florida. That's where I was born and raised from. I've been up here on and off for probably the last, give or take, 20 plus years.
Now, you were actually most of that time in the sheriff's office, or quite a bit of it. You worked in the traffic division
Yes,
here and in Florida. As a matter of fact, in Florida, if I remember, Collier County, you were the lead traffic homicide investigator. Is that
yes, I
correct?
was.
And you led the reconstruction team up here,
Yes,
Knox County Sheriff's Office.
yes, I did.
So that's your background. So, kind of a hey, Keith, nice to see you stopping by, brother. Uh, so quite a change going from law enforcement to automotive repair.
Yes, still dealing with some difficult situations, but yes, it's a little bit of a change.
Do you feel like because this is something I think about all the time, do you feel like the people skills and the skills you learned in law enforcement helps you to be able to deal with customers now better?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, when you got your difficult situation, difficult customers, is most of the times they're not really mad at you. They're just mad. They want to, they just want to be able to talk to somebody, just to have somebody listen to them. So most of the time it's just trying to listen to people, understand where they're coming from, so that, the ultimate goal is to find a solution to their situation.
Well, I totally agree. Well, tonight it's all about the automotive repair and the state of the industry. And when we talk about the state of the industry, automotive repair isn't even what it was just a few years ago. Especially, we go back, everybody, we blame everything on the pandemic, everything on COVID, but let's just say that whole debacle changed almost every industry out there
Yes, it did.
in one way or another. And I know for us, the supply chain problem, shortages of parts, especially in the collision center, because we also do collision, that's something that really has affected us big time and still is to this day.
Yes, it does.
Before we go any further, want to quick couple of housekeeping things. Want to let y'all know too, if you're watching, please like this video. Feel free to leave a comment or talk to us in the live chat. Share it if you think this would be information that would be useful to other people. And if you've not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. As always, um, I don't have sponsors on the channel, but there are some people I like to give shout outs to. Embody Healthcare, that is my primary care physicians. They take care of myself, my wife, my daughter, and about half of our employees now. Charlie, you go to Mike and Melissa too.
Yes, I do.
Dr. Michael Major, his wife, nurse practitioner, Melissa Major, giving them a big shout out. They're a direct a direct care primary practice. And basically, what that means is they've cut the insurance company out, or they you don't have to have insurance to go to them for a small monthly membership fee. You can go to them and have a direct relationship with your providers instead of having to let the insurance company dictate to you what you need with your health care. And you can find out more about them at embodyhealthcare.com on the web. And of course, we're talking about automotive repair. I'd be amiss if I didn't talk about our shop, Knox Horizon Complete Auto Care. We're here at 4701 Clinton Highway in Knoxville, Tennessee. We are your one-stop auto shop. We do everything from general maintenance, oil changes, tire rotations to engines, transmissions, and everything in between. We do diagnostics. We can calibrate all the new radar sensors and cameras on your car, as well as we do collision repair. God forbid you get into an accident. We work with all major insurance companies, including Geico, which a lot of shops aren't working with anymore. We work with them. So if you're in an accident, please come see us, Knox Horizon Complete Auto Care, and you can find out more about us on the web at knoxhorizon.com. So, talking about the automotive industry, it's one thing we're talking about. I think we have now six different part suppliers that are major suppliers that we can get parts from, and we still have shortages all the time. That
Yes, we
none of
do.
them have stuff, or if they have it, it's always somewhere else. It's never in town. We have to order it, have to wait, and of course, the customers don't understand that and they don't understand why we're having to wait on those parts. But I mean, don't we see every day? We see more and more where we go to look up parts. It's like, crap, nobody in town has it, and you even call the dealer, the manufacturer of the part, and sometimes they're worse off than the aftermarket parts are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, would you say that's one of our biggest challenges right now is getting parts sometimes that we need?
Yeah, again, just to go back a little bit on you were talking about COVID earlier, and since 20 or 2020, that has seemed to always been an issue is not only the difficulty of the parts, even when you find parts, every business seems to be struggling right now with employees and trying to find people that will work. And so therefore, even if we could find the parts, trying to get it delivered or coming from another location or something, and just being able to try to get it here, they don't have the people to even try to get it here. So that even further delays the problems.
Well, that's very true. And then, of course, here at Knox Horizon, we are very picky about who we hire.
Yes,
And that's why everybody that comes in, we let them know that, we evaluate them at 30 days and then again at 90 days. And if they're not the right fit for us, we're going to find somebody that is, because we strive to do the absolute best we can and give the highest level of work in the automotive repair industry. And, we're not perfect. We're human. We,
absolutely.
we make mistakes, but if we make a mistake, we own that mistake and we make it right and we take care of it. So it's part of it. There's one thing I wanted to bring up though. A lot of people ask, and I put a video out day before yesterday on this, is why mechanics won't install your parts. And that's something people always ask. I've got my own parts. Can I bring my own parts? And our normal policy, 99% of the time, we tell customers, no, we will not install your own parts. And here's part of the reason. Even parts we get sometimes brand new in the box, they end up being defective right out of the box. Um, uh, Very interesting. So he just asked, do you find the quality of the parts are still good or has that fallen off because of the last couple of years? So that's where I'm going right now. So that's part of the problem. We have, it seems like electrical parts especially. Wouldn't you agree with that? Alternators,
Absolutely.
starters, things like that. That we'll order one. It's brand new in the box, but we'll get it and it's defective right out of the box. And it's not the supplier's fault. It goes back to manufacturing, which yes, the quality has really, really went down. Quality control has, in some cases, I feel like just kind of went to the wayside. And the sad thing is, I had one of our suppliers tell us the other day he visited one of the manufacturing plants, and this is to kind of tell you what's happening. You know, at one time there were multiple manufacturers for all the different parts out there. There you have multiple manufacturers that did alternators, CV axles, or whatever it is. But there's a manufacturing plant, I believe he told me he visited in Ohio that produces CV axles. And he said he literally is there watching them come off the assembly line. And depending on what chute they went down, if they went down that one, they got an advanced sticker on. If they went down this one, they got a O'Reilly sticker on. If they went down this one, they got a Mopar sticker on them. The same manufacturers are making all the parts for all these different suppliers. In most cases, on a lot of these things, they're all being made in the same plant. So if you get one bat at one place, if it came out the same batch, chances are you're going to get it back the same place else. And again, we've seen that a lot, but why we don't allow most of the time, like I said, we do make exceptions sometimes, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. But one of the things is the warranty purposes. We offer, because we are a Napa Auto Care Center. As you can see, I wore the shirt tonight. And basically, what that means is we partnered with Napa so that we can give everybody a 36-month, 36,000-mile nationwide warranty on the repairs we do on their car. So that means if we put an alternator on your car here in Knoxville and you get to Orlando, so you're going on vacation, you go to Orlando, go to the House of the Mouse, then and that alternator for some reason quits, you call an 800 number, and through the Napa warranty, they're going to get you to a shop and get you taken care of and make sure you get back on the road. If you bring your own parts, we can't warranty that, and that includes the labor to put it on. The other thing is too, if we put a defective part on here and have to take it back off and put it back on, then they have to pay us the labor. If you bring a part and it's defective and we have to take it off and put it back on, you're paying the double labor. And the only thing the parts store is going to do for you is just replace the part for you. So instead of, maybe you had a job that was called for an hour, we charge $135 an hour. We're not the highest or the least expensive in Knoxville. We're in the middle of the road. But let's say you had something that called for an hour and we put that part on that you brought and was defective. Well, now it's another hour to change it out when you find out it is. So instead of paying $135 for labor, now you're paying $270 for a job where if we'd done the part, it would have been 135 period plus the part, and everything would have been taken care of. So the warranty is one of those things. Accuracy, we've seen a lot, and I think you would agree with this. How many times have we seen a customer brings a part in and it's not even the right part in the first place?
More times than not.
When we order the part, we make sure it is accurate and the right part. And if we get the part here and it's been sent wrong or whatever else, then we have to fix that and make it right. Whereas if you brought a part in that wasn't an accurate part, then you're going to have to run back and forth 4 or 5 times. Plus, that ties our bays up, ties our lifts up when we need to be working on other things. I mean, we're not a, we're in this to make a living. We're not in this to get rich, but we are in it to make a comfortable living for our employees. And tying up our bays and stuff because of things like that just doesn't really do it well. Keith made a good point. You can't bring your own steak to a steak restaurant either.
No, very
And
valid.
that's a very good point, Keith. Thank you. Uh, then there's convenience too. Um, Incomplete parts. We see that all the time too. We got brake pads we ordered the other day for a Mercedes Sprinter van. And when the brake pads got in, number one, now here's what's interesting, and this happens all the time. So we ordered them first from a Mercedes dealer. I won't mention their name. Wrong pads from the dealer. We gave them the VIN number on the vehicle. They should have known which pads, but no. This one, when I looked it up, you had to know which calipers it had on it, either a Bosch caliper or an ATE. Then you had to know what the rotor size was. Then you had to know, there were all these questions, and I literally, it was funny. One of our guys said it was wild to watch you. You ran back out and forth 4 or 5 times, measuring and everything, to make sure you had the right stuff. And then I found the right pads. They were aftermarket, but I found them. But when they got here, there were pieces missing out of the box, brand new, and pieces missing. So we had to take care of that problem, and not a customer running back and forth. And then just the fact of too the value that you get when you let us get the parts and do the labor and everything. Again, we've talked about a little bit that you're saving money in the long run, and a lot of people think that when they go buy their own parts, whether it's at Advance, O'Reilly's, AutoZone, Napa, wherever, that they're saving money. They're getting the parts cheaper. Well, the thing that people don't realize is normally we can buy the parts cheaper than you can because we do such high volume with all these places. And most of the time, we don't do, there's some shops out there, and believe me, I've seen it because people will bring their tickets and go, I got this price at another shop. Can you do any better? And most of the time we can because most of these shops, from what I found, go by whatever the manufacturer's suggested retail price is, which sometimes can be a 300 or 400% markup from what that cost is. And I think that's ridiculous. I mean, I'm about making money and keeping the lights on and paying the bills, but I'm not about knocking somebody's head off to do that. So we have a fair markup on our parts. And a lot of times, again, we actually sell them to you sometimes cheaper than you can go buy them at the parts store yourself. So it's always good to check with us to see, where we're at. So that's again good reason not to bring your own parts. And again, 99% of the time we won't. Now there are some instances, like if you have there's some vehicles we've had and not that old. We had a 2015 Chevrolet in here the other day. So Chevrolet at one time made these wonderful engines that there was a vacuum pump that controlled the braking system that was attached to the camshaft. If anybody knows those. Um, The vacuum pumps lock up, they snap the camshaft, and then you've got to put a camshaft and everything else in. 2015, we're talking about a vehicle that's uh, not even 10 years old, 9 years old. Camshaft's obsolete, can't find one. There's none out there to be found. So thank goodness this is a fleet customer we have, and they have a lot of trucks that they kept just for parts because the trucks got wrecked or whatever. So they just happen to have an engine sitting at their main facility where a camshaft could be taken out of. In that instance, absolutely, because we can't get the part, neither can they. If they hadn't had that truck sitting around, the only option would have been to put a whole brand new engine in that truck. And that's an expensive proposition. Um, what else do you see, Charlie, that you see as a challenge for us in this business?
A lot of it is just like you said, it's the biggest issue that I see is just trying to find the parts. And that seems to be one of our biggest challenges. And unfortunately, seeing it from both sides, because I understand why customers get frustrated, but I wish that the customers would, at least express it to us so that to give us that chance to be able to speak with them, to let them, hey, this is what we're waiting on. Unfortunately, we can't get that. We will purchase things offline sometimes because that's the only place we can find it. We'll get it, the box will be destroyed. Anybody that's dealt with the post office here lately or some of the
Oh my God.
other good companies, these packages are just being destroyed. And I don't think it any fault of anybody. I think it's just they're so busy and so slammed because, again, I'm not blaming COVID, but you go back to everybody shorthanded. So with that being said, is a lot of these parts are coming in damaged. Well, it may have taken us a couple of weeks just to get that part. Now it's damaged. Now we have to send it back. Now we have to try to get another part. So now we're looking at another couple of weeks and trying to get customers to understand that we want to give you your car back just as fast as we can, but we want to make sure that it's done correctly and safely.
Well, I think too, you brought up a good thing there about employees and stuff too. And one thing I have noticed lately from our parts suppliers, the delivery people are all older. they're um they're not the younger generation.
Yeah.
Um and that's really kind of disheartening to me because I'm seeing a lot of older people that are having to go back to work. And I'm talking about retiree age because number one, we know where the economy's at. Everything's more expensive than it was. And but I'm not seeing the young people. I'm not seeing people come along behind them to take these jobs. And just the work ethic from people I see in the younger generation. And I'm painting with a very broad brush. So let me say that's not everybody in the younger generation. We have some that they're outstanding, and we have some younger folks here that are great employees. But it's funny how many people we have to go through to find those good ones. And I guess y'all hear the noise in the background. That's Charlie's wonderful pup, Isabella, playing with a toy. And you know what? We don't mind. This is a live show. Anything can happen um, on online. So Keith said, let's see, with a question about service riders, do they sell stuff you don't need and do they take advantage of women? That's an excellent question, Keith.
Yes.
So, first of all, for anybody that knows to watch the show, we are myself and my wife Deb own this business, so we are a woman-owned business also. And I treat and I train my people to treat everybody just like I would my own wife and daughter. There are shops out there that yes, they sell things you don't need, and they do take advantage of women because we've had several women come in here that said they'll go not go anywhere else anymore because they've been taken advantage of. A lot of I will say your chain shops, and you know the familiar names out there and who they are. They're nationwide. They've got multiple shops. Yes, they oversell in what they do. They have certain quotas they have to that they have to meet, and it's just one of those things that yeah, they oversell. Uh, we don't do that here. When we look at a car, number one, if it comes in here, let's say a customer comes in, they say that I've got a brake vibration. First thing we do is we're going to do a brake inspection and we're going to tell them what we'll take to fix that problem. Now, we do a basic inspection on every car that comes in, and basically it's a safety inspection because we want to know is there something there they need to be aware of? And we'll make a list on that inspection of these are the things we see it's immediate. These are the things that need to be done, but they can wait, or these things are fine. Because it's like somebody comes in here for breaks and stuff. Will, good to see you, buddy. Long time. Um, but it's one of those things if somebody comes in here and even though we're just checking the brakes, it's what they come in for. If we find out their tires are down to 2/32 of an inch, they need to know about that because according to the National Highway Transportation Association, that's wore out. It's dangerous to drive on those tires. Now, I'm not going to make them get them, but we do let them know about it. Same thing if we've got it up in the air while we're looking at the brakes and we notice that they've got ball joints worn out or some suspension part or they have a boot busted on their CV axle. But as far as selling them things they don't need, no, I'm not going to recommend to them that they replace something that's not wore out or broke or something. That's just, I don't feel like that's right. And unlike some of these people, I have to sleep at night. And I can't do that by ripping people off. I've been ripped off in my life, and I know you have. We've had a lot of talks. That's the other thing about me and Charlie. Not only have we known each other 20 years, but we work together at the sheriff's office here, um, and we have a saying all the time that blood's not always family. It makes you related, and family's not always blood. And Charlie is my brother. We're brothers from different mothers, but
Yes.
but he is my brother, and that's why he's here with me, and we work well together. But that was a good question about whether people oversell and if they do rip women off. It's not just women though. That's the problem. How many how many younger men do we have come in here now that you see that have no clue
Uh,
about maintenance or vehicles or
a higher percentage than not.
yeah, used to when we were growing up, everybody got taught how to do basic maintenance. Even your women back then, they might know how to check the oil or to check their tire pressure or whatever. And people don't know that anything. It's kind of confounded me because it feels like I've always known this, but people don't know where to find the correct tire pressure that should be in their tires. Everybody thinks you read the side of the tire and that max pressure, it may say 36 or 40 pounds, wherever max. They think that's what you put in the tire. Most people don't know that's not what it is. The tire pressure, if you look inside your door jamb in the driver's door, somewhere in that door jamb, there should be a sticker that has your tire pressure for the front and rear because it's not always the same for all four tires. Sometimes your front's different from your rear, especially BMWs and some of your higher end cars. Had a BMW once that I drove that was 26 pounds in the front and 32 pounds in the rear. And that's because that's how the suspension was designed for that car to drive with that tire pressure. But people will fill them up as much as they can, and that's not right. And then they wonder why their tires wear out faster. They wonder why it doesn't handle as well. And that's one of the reasons why, because nobody knows about the tire pressure. So, for all of you that didn't know, I encourage you to go out, open your driver's door, and look in there for that little sticker, and it'll have your tire size and your tire pressure on there, what it should be. So Keith asked, "What's your most expensive diagnostic piece of equipment? Uh, must cost a fortune to keep current with the way computers are always changing and being outdated." Wow, I would say our most expensive, if you want to talk about overall piece of equipment that we spent diagnostic, is probably our ADAS
ADOS.
equipment. And for anybody that doesn't know, ADAS stands for Advanced Driver Assistance Systems. And what that is, for anybody that doesn't know, let's say that you have a backup camera on your car. That's an ADAS system. Let's say you have a forward facing camera that helps you with adaptive cruise control. Any radars you have on there, parking sensors, that is all part of the ADAS system. And we have the equipment, and that was a purchase we made when we first opened the shop, that we can calibrate and repair any of those systems on a car. And that was probably our biggest investment. And yes, we have to continual updates. Um, I would say other than that, it's just the level of scan tools and diagnostic scan tools we have. People will go to the parts store and they'll buy a little $50 scanner and think that's the same stuff we use. No, our our scan tools that we use, they cost. I think the least expensive one we have is about $3,600, and we have several of them because we have multiple techs and we have multiple cars we work on at the same time. And ours don't just read codes. We can go in and look at live data. We can go in and reset values. We can reprogram things. So they do so much more than just scan the codes on the car. And there's a good point, something to bring up that made me think of. So, Charlie, we have people coming here all the time. I went to so and so, an auto parts store, and I had my check engine light, and they scanned for codes. They told me this is what I need. Why is that not right?
Because it's just like you said, that they will pull up a code. I'll use a P420 code. It's a big one we see here. That's your catalytic converters. 99.9% of the time, that is correct. But with the scan tools that we use, it's going to tell us not only that, it's going to give us the other options of what else to look for on that vehicle to see is that the only issue with it or what caused that for that code in there. So if there's other codes in there, they're scanning for these big ones with these smaller tools that they have versus what we use here.
And that's what a lot of people don't realize too. So you get a cat code, a 420 code, and when you pull that up, there's a diagnostic flow chart that you have to follow. We start at step one, which is the proper procedure, and we follow that down till we find what's causing that exact code. Yeah, it could be a catalytic converter, but we had a truck in here, one of our fleet accounts. They had a 420 code on, and this was right after we got that fleet account, and they'd had somebody else doing maintenance. Well, the first thing I check, because it's first thing on there, if it's not getting good airflow, then it's not going to read right anyway. So we get there, and once I replaced the air filter that was so dirty that I couldn't see light through it, we cleared the code and never came back. It was a dirty air filter that said the catalytic converter code, but another shop had told them they need a catalytic converter. So we're talking about thousands of dollars versus about 30.
Yes. Which again, touching base on that, going back to just, I call it throwing parts at cars, is that's why we don't do that here. Is yes, we've been in trouble with Randy a few times because sometimes we take our time diagnosing vehicles, sometimes a little longer than others, but that's why we do that because of the flow chart in there. Because yes, if you come in with that code, if you want cats on it, we'll throw cats on it. But that's just throwing parts at a problem when it could be something just like he just said, as simple as the air filter being messed up. So Yes, we take our time diagnosing cars to make sure that sometimes, yes, we have to fix this before we can get to the second step, but explaining that to customers and seeing that they understand that the way these new age cars are not of the same generation when they were when we were kids.
Well, we just had a great example of that too. Is we have a Kia that's in here right now, 1.6 liter, and the cat's literally imploded on it.
Yes,
It does have a bad cat. Now, the question we have to ask is why did the
yes,
cat go out? Because cats do not fail as often as they're replaced. I'm going to say that right now. People replace cats way too much. So once we start digging on this Kia to find out why, well, it's burning oil. It's pumped so much oil through the cat. That's what took the cat out. Unless we fix that oil consumption problem, and so it doesn't keep putting oil through the exhaust, we can put a and the cat for that, by the way, is $5,000.
yeah,
We can only get it from the dealer. There's nowhere else to get it, and that's how much it cost us. So if we put one on, that's $5,000 that'd be down the drain again because the oil's still going through the system. So that's where we have to diagnose and find out why. Why has it got the oil consumption? Why did it take the cat out? And we find out that more than likely in that one, the oil rings in the engine are stuck to the pistons, so it's just bypassing, and so it's using oil because she's having about put in about a quart a week. Way too much oil because she's not driving that far every
yes,
week. So there we have to decide, is it worth an engine rebuild or a new engine? And that's up to the customer. We can give them definitely give them options on that. So let's see. Will ask, what would you say your worst nightmare vehicle to work on has been? Oh, how many do we have? I think it depends on the make, model, and what the symptoms is. Um, that's like somebody asked me the other day, what's the one car I wouldn't buy? And I had to think about that because if we're talking about transmission problems, it's anything with CV transmission. CVT transmission. I don't care if it's a Nissan, Honda, or whatever. If it's got a CVT transmission, I wouldn't buy it. I really wouldn't have it if you gave it to me, and I really mean that
yeah,
because in about 30, 40, 50,000 miles, it's going to fail. It just is what it is. And Felix, good to see you on the show, man. Appreciate it. 20, he's 20, Felix is 20-year tech. So you've really got some insight into this. I've been in the industry about 40 years, so I know. But he brought up a good point. Cars are now like a disposable razor, sadly, and
yep,
I totally agree.
absolutely,
That's like talking about CVT transmissions. Um, Nissan. Nissan is probably the worst one out there. And to tell you how disposable the transmissions are, you can't rebuild them. There's no parts to rebuild them out there. And you can call Nissan when you have one go out. Yeah, we got 5 on the shelf. That should tell you something about the CVT transmissions. Uh, Keith, um, I always like to use the same service company. So if I went to sell my vehicle, I can give them a complete service record of my car. That I totally agree with that. I think that's a good thing too. Now, one thing that we do that a lot of people don't, and before I say this, I'm going to preference this statement. Well, after I say this, we report everything we do to Carfax, so that vehicle history is there. Somebody can pull a Carfax report and it's there. Now, Carfax is only as good is the shops you take it to because not every shop reports to Carfax. So a lot of cars that come in here will look at the Carfax too, but it has incomplete maintenance or repair history on the car. So remember that if you're pulling a Carfax report, it's not always what it's cracked up to be.
absolutely.
You'll see some that you'll pull it and somebody's taken it, and when they first got it, had the maintenance done at the dealer, and you got a great report for 6 months. They maybe sell the car. Somebody decides to do their oil changes at home, which I don't recommend with today's car, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But at that point in time, none of that's reported to Carfax. So now you may have a year or two of no history whatsoever what's been done to the car, so you don't know. Uh, Will says I'll always stick to a manual transmission. Easier to replace a clutch than it is to go through a CVT or auto transmission. Totally agree with that to an extent, except for the fact of that most automatic transmissions today, as long as you do the scheduled transmission fluid change, they last. I'm driving a Nissan Pathfinder Rock Creek Edition right now that has 9-speed automatic transmission in it, and I plan on doing that maintenance every time it's required. Um, how do I feel about battery safety? Is it overlooked on EVs? We so far haven't gotten into EVs, and I really don't know if I want to, but I think it is overlooked. I think just your regular batteries are overlooked a lot. And that's why we have a policy here where every car that comes in our shop, we test. We have what we call the good to go test every vehicle test. Won't you tell them what that test consists of?
Basically, what that is we obviously do a battery test, a starting test, and an alternator test, or starter test, excuse me. So we're checking for the main three things right there that potentially would be a no start or a potential slow start, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. So we test all those things, and it's amazing how we start doing that. And that's another thing I'll talk about when you start talking about newer cars too, and all the computer controls that you can sometimes be off as much as a half a volt, just a little half a volt, of incorrect voltage, and it'll throw codes and everything else in the computer. I don't know how many problems we fix. People come here to check engine lights or a drivability problem. We test the battery the first thing and find out, oh, the state of health of the battery is at 25%. We replace the battery and it takes care of the whole problem. So
Yes.
that's why we check everyone that comes in. And we even do that, when there's not a complaint, because your car may still start even if the battery's at 25% state of health because the charge may still be there. But that tells us that battery is going to go out. Um, so Will said today's transmissions will last. He agrees with that, but he always goes for 90s vehicles. I get it. A lot of people like the older vehicles. The thing I'll tell you is, and we've kind of come up with a little rule, and we had this discussion the other day. Our cutoff on 99% of the vehicles we work on is 20 years. And two reasons for that. Anything in the 90s now is trying to find parts for most of them are like pulling teeth with a pair of tweezers. The other reason is most of the 90s vehicles we run into, nobody's ever done the maintenance on them like they should. And the ones we see, now that's not everybody, there are exceptions to every rule. And that's why I have to remind my people all the time. Just because we have a rule, if we don't work on cars more than 20 years old, there are exceptions. If somebody's got a car that they've taken good care of, they've maintained it, they've restored that car, that's totally different. That means there's no rust on it, bolts aren't going to break, and things aren't going to happen. But the ones we see coming here are ones that I kind of wish Tennessee was like some other states and we could put a sticker on cars and condemn them. We've seen cars come in with frames rusted completely through. They're not safe to be on the road. They put everybody in danger that's around these cars, and customers refuse to fix them, and they drive them until they break down, and then they're mad. But yet, it's a car that should have met its end a long time ago. See some other questions coming in here. Uh, has this Tennessee moisture caused many issues? I don't think we've not seen any moisture issues. The only thing we've seen moisture is we've had a few come in that have leaking windshields or something where the seals went bad on older cars. But as far as drivability and stuff, I don't I can't think of one we've seen.
No.
Um, I find high resistance and circuits troublesome yet fun. I just find them troublesome. I pass them on to our shop foreman Joseph. He likes that kind of stuff. Him or Robbie.
Yes.
Robbie, our electrical
Yes.
guy, he likes it, and I pass that on to him. Um, we need a safety house. Agreed. Yeah, Felix, we do definitely. Bald tires. We see bald tires all the time. We
Oh,
warn people
all
all
the
the time,
time.
and I don't understand. here's what I find interesting, Felix, and I don't know how much you've seen this, but we have people come in all the time and they want to get an alignment done on their car. Their tires are wore out, and we tell them, look, we can't do an alignment on your car. Your tires are wore out. No alignment's going to fix what your real problems are here. So they'll go buy used tires somewhere and then come back and want an alignment done. And sometimes the tires they buy used are worse than what they had on there in the first place. I know people are trying to save money. I know the economy sucks right now. I mean, we can all agree, it's higher prices at the pump, higher prices at the grocery store. But how much is your safety worth? I mean, that's the thing I'll ask. And we can go back to our law enforcement experience. How many crashes did we see due to improper equipment on cars, especially bald tires?
Quite a bit.
Yeah, hydroplaning, crashing, running into other people. Safety, you can't put a price on safety. And that's why we make an issue. If we see something that's unsafe on a car, we're going to let the customer know about it. Now, whether they fix it or not in Tennessee is up to them, but we at least let them know about that so that they know about it. And we've had a couple of cars where they've been so unsafe that we have made the customer sign a waiver before we release them to them, that we have told them about it, they know about this, and they're driving at their own risk. And the unfortunate reason that we do that is that now judges across this country, unfortunately, are starting to hold shoppers responsible for stuff they've not even worked on.
Yep.
They'll tell them that um, this car came into your shop and you and for brakes, you put brakes on it, but oh, the suspension parts. Yes, sir. We told the customer, well, you shouldn't have let the car go. What? We can't be forced to take care of stuff we didn't know, but judges are doing that. So now there are cars we make people sign waivers on before they take them. Uh, let's see what it will say. Thankfully, my hard body still has parts readily available. It's been a basket case, but I'm finally getting to the bottom of what's wrong with it. Yeah, a lot of older cars, especially, can definitely be basket cases nowadays. Felix said he bought 4 tires for $99. Worst decision he ever made. I think we've all made those decisions at times. Keith said the worst feeling in the world is you're getting ready to go to work and you have to wonder if your car is going to get you there. Totally, totally, totally agree. Hey, Tom Warner, our collision center manager. Good to see you on here, Tom. In the fall weather, the crashes are worse because bald tires, wet leaves, um, and roads and bald tires don't mix. Totally agree with that.
Absolutely.
Good to see you on here, Tom. Thanks for joining us. Uh, Felix said he had to exit the field. It became a ruthless profession. And yes, I know very well it is. And you have other shops trying to undercut you or trying to, they badmouth you for things you're telling right. And we've literally had customers that we've given estimates to, they'll take the car somewhere else, get the work done, and it's done improperly, and they end up back to us anyway.
Yep.
We have a lot of great reviews on Facebook because of the quality work we do. The one thing I learned a long time ago is you can't please everybody, and that's something I definitely want to talk about. And Felix, I'm sure you can attest to this: is the unrealistic expectations that customers have.
Absolutely.
Uh, Charlie, expand on that a little bit. How
To be honest, I don't even know where to start with that one. Um,
I think a good one is, and I think about we had a Dodge Charger. The guy was going 15 to 20,000 miles between oil changes. He ended up building up so much sludge inside his engine that the oil pressure was gone and he had a lot of problems. We ended up, told him at the time he needed a new engine, which is what he needed. Uh, but instead, he wanted us to, what could we do for him? So we took quite a bit of the engine apart. We cleaned all the sludge out we could. We put a new oil pump in it. We put everything back together, but we told him at the time, you're on borrowed time. You have done damage to the engine. I mean, we got it running, but we told him, this is a band aid at best. At some point, it's finally going to go out. And I kind of lectured the guy, and everybody thought I was kind of harsh, but no, I wasn't. He was going way too far between oil changes. I don't care what manufacturers say today. Even the one on my car says every 10,000 miles. I wouldn't go 10,000 miles to change the oil in my car for nothing. Every 5,000 miles is what I change the oil in my car. And I do that religiously because your engine oil is the lifeblood of your engine. So every 5,000 miles is what we recommend you getting the oil changed, and recommend you rotate the tires at the same time, because rotating your tires extends the life of those greatly too. And I don't know how many people we have come in that never rotate their tires.
Yep.
But this guy, anyway, we told him it's a band-aid. We've got it running now, but at some point it's going to go. He did start coming in getting his oil changed regularly, which so he did listen to us. Uh, but we ended up, he came in for one of his routine oil changes. We changed the oil in the car. I think he had had it back home about a week, and oil pump went out again because we told him, what we did was a band aid. But somehow our oil change, where all we did was drain the oil, change the filter, put it all back in, it was fine what left here, but that was our fault. We destroyed his car. That's what he said. Even though we had told him, you're on borrowed time, that engine's going to go. And that's the sad thing, is that some people have unrealistic expectations, and even when you tell them you're on borrowed time and something's going to break, they don't hear what you're saying. Um, we have people that will repair one system on their car, and they think the car should run like a brand new one they just bought off the lot. Even brand new ones right off the lot don't run like they should anymore. I've got a brand new, my Pathfinder's 2024, and I had it back in for a warranty problem 2 weeks after I bought it. So nothing's made the way it used to be. And I hear a lot of people do this thing too. Well, back when I was growing up, well, guess what? It's not back when you were growing up anymore. Everything's changed. And literally, there's so many people stuck in the past, especially people like us that used to work on our own cars, and they've not been around them for so long. They just don't understand all the complexities of new cars. We had a I can't remember what the vehicle was. It was but I remember the guy done his brakes in the past on older cars and thought he could do the brakes on his new car. And he did not realize when he did the rear pads on the car that it had electronic brakes on the rear calipers, and that he had to have a special scan tool to put it in service mode before he could put the pistons in to change his brake pads. So he forces them in, destroys the hydraulic system on his brakes, and I don't remember what that bill was. I know we were reaching, because he took out the main hydraulic
It was
control module. So we were what, over,
close to 2 grand
yeah,
almost. It was like
almost
1,600,
2 grand,
1,800.
which if he had brought it here and let us done the brakes, he'd gotten out of here for less than $200. So he thought, because 20 years ago I did my own brakes, I can do them on a new car, and didn't have a clue about the new systems on the car. So if you do work on your own cars, at least find out about those systems, read instructions, find something so you know what you're doing. I think the good one was, we had called in the other day, and this was a first for me. A lady called in, wanted to know what we could do to help her, because she had changed the oil in her car in her driveway, put no new filter in it, and she'd refilled it up because oil's oil, right? And
Yeah.
put baby oil back in the engine. Baby oil and motor oil is not the same. So now she needs a new engine in her car. And sorry, I'm not getting to all the comments. It's just, but just to look and see what everybody's saying. Points and carbs make them great again. You know what? I'll stick with the new stuff. Man, I hated setting those things. um, you're lucky in life if you can find an honest roofer, an honest paver, and an honest car shop. I agree. If you want me to know about an honest roofer, let me know.
Yeah.
um, Nothing like making a grown man cry handing over an estimate. It's a thing. Yes, it is. Unfortunately, sometimes. Hey, Melissa, good to see you on here too. Melissa Major, I was talking to you all about her at the beginning of the show. Embody Healthcare. Melissa's on here. Please look them up at embodyhealthcare.com. Um, Look at a 1931 model of Ford. Go look at a 2025 anything engine and see if you know what the differences are. um, Anything over 2010 foo bar. Kill switches next. Kill switches. Oh, there's a good topic. Um, so there are cars, and I think this is what you're talking about, Felix. I hope. Um, there are certain cars now built into the computers and stuff where dealers are putting in kill switches, where the cars can be shut off. I think that's kind of an invasion of privacy thing to me, but it's where some of them's getting to the point they're trying to pass laws where law enforcement can call in, hey, we're in the pursuit of a car, can you shut it off? And that's all well and fine, but what if there's a mistake? What if there's? I think to me that's going a little bit too far, and that's coming from an ex-law enforcement officer. Charlie may disagree,
Oh,
but
I agree 100% with it.
yeah, I think sometimes we get a little bit too far there. Will say a personal opinion, but the way auto manufacturers are trying to get every mile per gallon and bit of power out of small displacement engines is part of the issue these days. Engines are wound too tight. Um,
Absolutely.
I don't know if it's so much they're wound too tight or if it's just they're so cheaply made.
Mixture of both, I think.
I think it is. I think some of the parts we're seeing for engines, because that's the other thing we do here. We have a cylinder head machine shop. We got tired of Subarus is the worst. Subarus are known for blowing head gaskets, and we got tired of having to wait weeks to get heads back when we'd send them out to the machine shop. So we opened our own. And but some of the parts we're seeing now compared to what I saw when I first started in this industry, oh my God, it's night and day difference as to what's there. Um, let's see here. Chevy OnStar has been doing that for a good few years, talking about kill switches. Yes, they
Yep.
have. Um, Plastics killing auto life expectancy. I totally agree with that. Nothing's made the way it used to be. I think the banking loan industry wants kill switches as if you're not current on your payment. So here's the deal with that. A lot of them do require GPS locators that do have ignition kill switches on them. But that's something that when they sell the car, they have to notify you that it's on there, and you have to sign a form that you say you know it's on there. We actually used to be in the used car business, and we use those quite often. And the one thing that's interesting that people don't realize, though, they came in handy for is how many times we have somebody we knew in law enforcement call in, hey, we've had this car reported stolen. It's once financed through you guys. We'd locate it for them, shut it off so they could go get it and arrest the people that stole the car.
Yep.
So there are a lot of useful uses for that. But yeah, there's times when people don't make their payments and they know they're supposed to make them. So yes, you can shut them off in their driveway and they call in, my car won't start. Well, you've not made your payment. It's kind of a wake up call. And but we never shut a car off. And it's actually illegal to shut a car off for no reason at all. You have to have a reason. There are laws that govern those things where lenders put those on cars. Um, Quality is impossible to find aftermarket. I don't think that's always the case about quality and aftermarket because we get a lot of aftermarket stuff that's really good. Not all of it. But then again, right now, I think because we go back to the whole thing, the CV axles I talked about earlier, where you have a plant in Ohio that's manufacturing CV axles not only for aftermarket, but for the OEM too. So they're all coming out of the same plant.
Yep.
so, so what the OEM selling you those CV axles is the same thing that the aftermarket selling you. So, all the quality and a lot of it is just kind of the same, unfortunately, in a lot of things. Um, Man, we've talked about a lot tonight. I didn't realize we've almost been an hour. And I don't want to run over an hour, but I tell you what, guys, thanks for the interaction tonight too. This has been a lot of fun. But I'll leave you guys with this. Um, if you're going to do work on your own car, please read everything that you need to find out about the job you're doing because things aren't like they used to be. If you live in Knoxville and you're looking for a good, dependable automotive repair shop, I would ask you to check out Knox Horizon Complete Auto Care. We're not perfect, as I said, we're human. We make mistakes. If we make a mistake, we own that mistake and rectify it. As a matter of fact, um, Melissa, if she's still on here, can attest to that. We worked on her daughter's car, and I'm going to be honest about what happened. We worked on our daughter's car. We have an apprentice working for us, and somehow he didn't get supervised, and all the lug nuts on one of Sophia's wheels didn't get tightened. Now, pissed off is not even close to where I was. As my wife will tell you, when I'm so angry that I'm quiet, that's when everybody should go hide, and that's where I was at because the only thing I could think of was what if that was my daughter's car? And thank God the wheel didn't fly off and nobody got hurt because unfortunately I'd probably be up on assault charges because of what would have happened. Because to me, safety issues like that, where we do something that causes a safety issue, is totally unacceptable. And I know you feel that way.
Absolutely.
That's a big, um, big thing for us. Phil said you might swing by, man. I appreciate that. But Knox Horizon, to tell you where we're at 4701 Clinton Highway. For you old timers out there, it's the old Clayton Lincoln Mercury building. We're right between, people seem to know where that's at, straight across the street from Clayton Homes, right between Kubota of Knoxville and U-Haul. So we're really easy to find. We're about half mile north of Interstate 640, so we're real easy to get to. I want to thank everybody that's been on here tonight, and I think we'll probably have to do a second show on automotive repair because we've just not covered everything and not really had time. But next week's show, let me give you a little Alex, man, what's up? Knox Horizon is top notch and stands behind their work. Looking good, Randy and Charlie. Brother, thank you, man. We appreciate you so much. Thank you, everybody that's been on tonight again, too. This has been a blast and something, of course, since we work in it every day, that we really enjoy talking about. Of course, my background, for anybody that doesn't know, not only was on law enforcement, of course, automotive repair. I've also been in the wrestling ring. Uh, so I've done the pro wrestling thing. I was a certified Skywarn weather spotter for the National Weather Service. I chase storms in the winter and spring. Something else I do here live, and there's a lot of things that I do. Keith, thank you too. Thank you for being on, man. Have a wonderful time on your other channel, man. We'll see you next week. Next week's show, I'm going to do, I've had a lot of people ask me about ketamine. So we're going to do a whole show. Excuse me. Sorry about the sneeze. Live broadcasting. That's what it's all about. But next week, we're going to do a whole show on ketamine and psychedelic assisted psychotherapy. And if Melissa's still on here, I would love to have you and Mike come on if you can. I'll definitely, if you're on here and you guys can make it next Thursday night, 6 o'clock, since I've had a lot of people ask me about ketamine assisted therapy, I want to do a whole show just talking about that, what it is, what it does. People that have depression, anxiety, PTSD, uh, definitely, you need to get them on the show, have them watch it. I'll have a link up to it early so that you can share it with them. And man, we'll just have a good time talking about that. So anybody that suffers, especially from depression, anxiety, or PTSD, it'll be a great show for you. Um, man, thanks guys very much for all your comments. Charlie, as a matter of fact, you don't mind me telling, do you?
No, I don't
So
know.
we both have went through ketamine as former law enforcement officers. have seen more than most people want to. As a matter of fact, statistics show that most average people go through 4 to 5 tragic events in their entire life. I mean, real tragic events. Um, Mike gave thumbs up. Awesome. Thank you, sir. So hopefully they'll be here next Thursday night 6. But a lot of people do go through 4 to 5 tragic events in their lifetime, whereas first responders and military statistics show they see 100 plus in their lives and over the stage of their career. So we things that see things that most people don't want to see, especially some of the traffic accidents that we've. Yeah, I'm not even going to get into it this week. That's for next week's show. Thank you all for being on. Um, Felix is trying to find a mushroom hunting partner. Can't go alone. We might have to talk. I think mushrooms are illegal in Tennessee, but depends on what kind we're hunting. Anyway, that's awesome, Felix. Man, we'd love for you guys that are watching to come by the shop. Just stop by and see us. Even if you're not here to get work done, love to talk to you. As you can see on the wall behind us, that's my photography. It's on the walls. Love for you to come by, see my work, see what you think. But Embody Healthcare, big shout out to them. The reason I went to them again to start with was because good friend of mine was at the sheriff's office with knew that I was having some anger issues and stuff that were unexplainable. He told me about ketamine and sent me to Mike and Melissa. That's where I went. And Charlie, you could attest, my anger was getting out of control.
Yes.
And now that I have been through ketamine infusions and done that, how is it?
It's improving. It's a work in progress, but it
It's a
is
work in
improving.
progress, but it is. I don't have the outburst like I did, but it has definitely taught me a lot of things. But we'll get into that more next week. Anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful week. I'll see you next Thursday. Until next time, Randy Justice, Charlie Beard. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
And of course, my outro music isn't working. Thank you guys anyway.